Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. And now, here are Bob and Richard.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Our guest today is sports bettor Bill Krackenberger. Bill, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Thanks for having me.
We've had a number of sports people on the air. Spanky, Dink, Rufus Peabody, Captain Jack. What is it that you do that's different from what they do?
Kind of the same, really. Than a lot of them. They're all advantage sports bettors, and I think in that group, Rufus is really the great originator out of that group. So he does his own work, and a lot of the guys actually do their own work. He definitely would be the one. So you've had some great guests on. That's fantastic. But I basically do the same. I look for edges. I've been looking for edges for 25 years, and look to capitalize on those edges. And especially around town here in Vegas, there's some great opportunities for people. I bet a lot of underdogs. When I say steal, I mean I'm betting. I'm not stealing, but it's a betting term. I steal a lot of half points here and there, and they equal a lot of money in the end. And definitely, I don't think I really do anything different. Those guys all have very good bankroll management skills and skill sets in place that make them successful. And for every one guy like Spanky or Bill Krackenberger out there, there is another 100 that actually go into it trying to be that person, and they fail because there's so many vices in this town. This town is vice central. Drinking, drugs, women, gambling.
That always surprised me about, I came from a blackjack background where a card counter would never think about going out to make a bet that didn't have an edge, right? Like to go play craps or something would just be unheard of. And it always really shocked me about poker players who know about having an edge
And loves the crap tables.
but then would go, or bet sports with with a huge disadvantage.
I think that's how I originally heard about you. Is there a blackjack ball they have?
Yes.
There is.
Are you involved with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because someone told me that this guy Jimmy D'Ambrosio told me that you guys were. I should go. I was thinking should go there one, but I never made it over there though. But yeah, so that's why I've heard about you guys. Are legendary guys. You guys are the stars. Not me.
Well, but we're here to talk about you.
I know.
So when you first started, did you start out in sports, or were you in some other form of advantage gambling?
I grew up in a East Coast town from a boardwalk town, Kingsburg, New Jersey. It's a little boardwalk short town in New Jersey that they had a boardwalk, a beach, and from a very young age, I started out working on the boardwalk. I worked at my aunt and uncle's pizza stand. I cut pizzas for a living, and then before I actually graduated to making pizzas, and then I actually wound up working for some other people on the boardwalk, some games of chance. They have wheels, they have skill games, ring the bottle, that kind of thing. I worked in a darts stand where you used to kill Gaddafi. Gaddafi must have been he was a bad leader back then. So I worked in a darts stand. I worked in a basketball stand so that was where I really learned my interaction, kind of breaking my bones was really on that Jersey Shore boardwalk town. And at nighttime though, all those games of chance, the Keno, it was called Skillo actually, but it's like a Keno. These particular games turned into real money games, of course, illegally. The wheels even turned into real money wheels. So you can actually go in and you can gamble with your own money for numbers on the wheel. Of course, the operators knew the advantages and knew what to do. To make it in their edge, to have an edge. But that's where I first started doing. Then we actually would play a game called AC Deucey at night too, where the high card being the ace, the low card being the deuce, and you would guess in between at what card would come out.
We call that game in between.
In between, right? Yeah. That's it. So I did that on that boardwalk town. I worked the Jersey Shore boardwalk. That's what I did when I was a kid, and I was a loser. You can't be a winner without being a loser. Until I learned how to pitch quarters properly. We actually pitch quarters behind the post office. And I would always notice, like one guy, an older guy, of course, hustling the kids, he always would go real lower to the ground. And I actually loved picking up. I was very good at picking up. I was always inquisitive, too, as to what people were doing. So I realized a little bit of a skill to pitch quarters. And then I also knew we were playing. You would love this. We actually played head-to-head blackjack, dealt to the bottom. So I was like, wow. No cold card. No. Now I'm 15 years old. I still don't know about any edges. I don't know of. But I thought, wow, interesting. My cousin Anthony, who was very, very probably the smartest guy in our family. He was he worked in the pizza stand with me. He was my aunt and uncle's their son, and he's the one that told me that there's some card counting classes in North Jersey. They just started this thing, and this is like 1982, 81.
Those would have been run by Jerry Patterson.
Oh, wow. That was probably it. You're probably right.
Who was not known for being all that sharp.
Wow.
Well, in the beginning, though, I mean, he was a good card counter.
Yes.
And then he kind of sold out at one point and started selling, Target systems where you find hot tables and all that kind of crap.
Which is absolutely, yeah. So I actually realized there was an edge at these playing in the garages. We played in the garage, a couple different garages around town, and the boardwalk. Head-to-head blackjack. All those edges, just keep track of 4 aces, really. I mean, really, that's another thing you can do. You're getting paid 3-2 on blackjack. So that was the first start of me being sharp, was playing, not the pitching quarters, was the blackjack head-to-head. And then I from a young age, 15, 16 years old, like I said, I grew up on that boardwalk town. There was bookmakers. There was, everything was going on, I never, maybe that's the reason why I don't drink today. I never started to drink. I was into making money. And thank God I grew up in a middle-class family at best, because my parents didn't have money for college. And thank God they didn't, because I wouldn't be who I was today if I had a college degree on the wall and went to school instead of learning the school of hard knocks.
And so how did you end up in Vegas?
I came to Vegas about 14 years ago, but I was always coming back and forth. Let me actually set the timeline. So I'm 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm working, also going to Monmouth Park, which was close to the house, a racetrack. And then I learned that was a bad thing to do. They take 20% out of the field. So I stopped horses right away. But however, someone told me there was something going on in the old Golden Nugget in Atlantic City, which then became Bally's Grand, the Hilton. They said that there was a bank of machines. This is around, now I skipped ahead about 5 years, but this is around 1992. And this particular blackjack machines, and you'll both appreciate this, this bank of blackjack machines, it was a regular bank of blackjack, some of the first digital blackjack, though. And what they did was it had surrender on the game. So if you were dealt like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever hand you had, versus a 10, you would press the surrender button and get your money back. Well,
you get the full bet back?
This particular machine gave you your money back. Instead of it's only $1. It's $1.
Yeah.
$1 can add up very quick. So it was only 4 quarters. It was like you could bet 50 cents a quarter, but you understand that you start over. Now you can still lose. I mean, you have 19, you stay, and then they'll return 20 over. So now, the guy next to me, he had this way of I didn't even tell the story properly. I didn't even know what was going on. I just went to Atlantic. Someone told me to go to Atlantic City, find this bank of machines. There's something going on there. And his friend's making money doing this. So I went that night, and I seen this guy with real long, lanky fingers, and he was putting coins in a machine, just filling the hopper. Back then they were called. Filling a hopper with coins. And I'm still watching him taking my money out. And, there's no tickets in and out then. There was a coin. So I'm watching, and I'm trying to see what he's doing. And I'm acting like I know what I'm doing. And it took me like a couple hours to get on this machine. Just so happens that particular machine, the God said, let me sit there, because the guy next to me would change my life. He's the guy that taught me sports betting, advantage sports betting. He's the guy that taught me that machine. He said to me, you're better off feeding quarters into the machine, because you don't want them coming over filling the hoppers. Now, I still didn't know what he meant, but then he taught me you want to keep it, and listen, I'll tell you right now, I don't mean to be saying I'm cheating a casino. They're offering me something, I'm gambling on it. Just like Phil Ivey was offered something and he gambled on it. So the casinos have no problem cheating you, by the way, by going from 3-2 to 6-5 to even money blackjack and whatever it may be. So I don't feel I was doing anything like that. But That night kind of changed my life. The guy next to me was the head of the card count team at resorts in Atlantic City. He was playing on the side. That's what he did. He had a little hobby, of playing on the side, beating the exact games he was policing at night. So,
you mean he was working
he
for
worked
the
for the
casino?
casino at resorts, and I seen him at the Golden Nugget that night.
Oh,
and
wow.
he taught me some little things. And they had a card count team that actually worked for the casino, a defensive team.
Yeah, the counter catcher.
A counter catcher, which they don't really have no more. Now all the floor people are taught to count, a basic high-low count. They're taught to count themselves, and you're supposed to have the surveillance guys that count also. But yeah, that guy showed me some things, and he really changed my life. He was talking about sports betting and how much money you can make, and Vegas has different lines, the casinos, and yeah, he really did. And we were partners for the next 10 years. Just from that chance meeting, him and I were partners for the next 10 years. And I brought him on the Showtime show Action with me. He was actually on there. Yeah.
Was he on last night?
No, he was on episode 2. He just sat next to me, had a little line. We were in the
okay.
we were in the Golden Nugget, the new Golden Nugget at the marina in Atlantic City. He sat right next to me. He's the guy in the red, real tall, 6'5", glasses. Very, very smart. Very, very, very wealthy from gambling. He's a very smart guy. Very smart.
You mentioned this action show. It's brand new. 3 episodes are in the can, or 3 episodes have been aired. Tell us about this show and what is your involvement in it.
I am one of the people they chose. Very happy to be one of the ones chose. That let the cameras come inside my life to show them exactly what I do every day. They followed me around, and they followed me into my house and met my family, my wife, and my dog, and it shows different characters. It shows the good, the bad, and the ugly side of gambling. I would hope I'm the good side. I try to promote this is a business. I don't sweat the money. I don't watch the games. I don't even watch the games. It's a business. There's no skin in the game. There's no emotional factor in my life for it. I get in and I get out. I mostly bet on my apps. I really don't go to a lot of casinos to bet. So I just bet from home, and I bet on my apps, and you don't have to. Listen, just between Caesars, MGM, Cantor, South Point, you can get down a lot of money on games.
How? I mean, that was the thing that really surprised me is how are you... I mean, everybody else gets barred. How have you avoided
everybody else?
Not
everyone else is a big term, though. Everyone else.
Oh,
I've been barred. I'm thrown out of William Hill. I'm thrown off Stations app. I'm not allowed to bet a Stations app. I'm not allowed to bet a Treasure Island. I'm limited at many places around town.
Right. Cantor, right? I mean,
they're really good to me. So
really,
maybe I don't want to say because maybe I'm a voice in the industry, but I give them good press too. I mean, when they take bets and stuff, but I also go after them too. When I couldn't get a drink ticket 2 years ago with my buddies in March Madness at the Hard Rock, so I'll go after them too. One thing about me. But, they take bets off me.
A drink ticket is really important to a guy who doesn't drink.
Now, South Point...
Just to get a simple bottle of water. My friends were in town. I have 5 figures in the app, probably about 6 figures in the last 3 days, and they wouldn't give me 6 drink tickets for my friend. Oh, no, it's only 5 per day, no matter who it is. So anyway, it's just sometimes there's not a lot of nothing common in common sense anymore. But
yeah, that's the new Vegas. That's South Point, I think, is the only casino where we see you in the casino.
That's the only one that let us film.
Yeah, okay.
Good luck.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And the Hilton takes bets too, by the way, which is now the Westgate. The Westgate takes bets too.
Right,
they all throughout the season they were taking 4-figure bets from me on college basketball. So they take bets too. You listen, Caesars, MGM, Westgate, South Point, the ones I just said, Cantor, I get down 5 figures a game without a problem, and that's
each.
No, no one's taking 10,000. No. But they're taking 2 and 3 and even 5,000 on games, especially as these March Madness games, the last 16 games. I mean, South Point's taking 5 figures on a game. Yeah, absolutely, and so would Caesars.
Well, South Point seems to be the one place that really sort of gets it.
It's an old school gambling joint.
Yeah.
Yep, just like Benny Binion used to preach in town. Come on in. We're going to give you the best meal, the best gamble, the best food, the best drink. It's a gambling joint. So anyway, they let us film in there. They also let us film in the Westgate. So we have some scenes in there. And we filmed downtown a little bit. I filmed back in New Jersey at resorts at DraftKings. We filmed at Oceans in New Jersey. We filmed with the person that owned the casino, which unfortunately died yesterday. He had a heart attack and a car crash yesterday. Unbelievable. Everyone on the show is very upset about that.
I have to say, when I heard the show was coming out, I was afraid it was going to be awful. Because
most gambling shows are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. Most gambling shows are for guys like us three that are in the know.
Right.
So for Square,
just as an example, that's when I totally lost respect for 60 Minutes, a show I used to love, until I saw them do some shows about gambling, and I realized that really they were kind of hacks.
Yeah, just last week's show.
If they had just done better research, they would have found that they were saying
I'd like to say the Showtime producer, director, assistant producer, all these guys, they actually listened to me. I put a lot of time into them. I wanted to get them knowledgeable about stuff that goes on down on the pulse of the casino floor. The terminology, yes, but also other things too, other factors too.
What?
Well, just knowing what betting was. A lot of them didn't know what betting was. Didn't know the betting terms and philosophy and what goes on, and didn't, so. And how about locations, scouting locations out? And maybe even I had some influence in some things that went on. I said, listen, let's go to Piero's. It's an old school restaurant in town here. It's dark. It's great. It's what Vegas used to be. And they listened to me. We filmed this scene in Piero's. I said, hey, let's go see Cookie Jar, legendary lounge act, last of the Mohicans, Cookie Jar at the Paris. He's there one night a week. He's 78 years old. Let's go you guys should film this for one night. Episode 3 shows that. It's fantastic. It worked out great. So they actually listened to me a little bit about some things.
Let me tell you my one beef with the show,
Sure.
and I know you have the same beef. But so they have a tout, this guy named Vegas Dave,
right?
Who supposedly, I guess by the end of the series, they're going to discredit him.
Expose.
But the first 3 episodes, well, certainly the first 2 episodes really are like a commercial for the guy.
Episode 2, he started to unravel a little bit, though. His parents, $700,000 they took from his parents. He admits going to Gamblers Anonymous. He starts cursing at people, this and that. So things start to unravel for Mr. Dave in episode 2.
Yeah, I'm
by
just
episode
afraid
3,
he's gaining customers.
Listen, I'm sure he did gain some customers. I'm sure he did. I wish it started out a lot worse for him. By episode 3, he goes. He only wins 1 bet in the first episode, and he loses the next 6. Yeah. So with juice, he loses about 6.5 units. Of course, he wants to then blame the show and say, "Oh, you guys are here. That's why I lost." I mean, he can never blame himself. But you guys will see if you watched episode 3, which was on last week, and episode 4. They did a great job at discrediting him, and I'd like to say I'm maybe a little bit instrumental in that, because I kind of we didn't know who was on the show. I knew Kelly in Vegas. Kelly Stewart was on the show, and myself. I didn't know. I didn't film those scenes with Vegas Dave. Sure. So when I went for the photo shoot to do a billboard, they said, "Well, Vegas Dave was just in here with his brand new Rolls Royce." I was like, "Vegas Dave, why was he here?" And then I found out. I left the photo shoot, went outside, and called the producer, Dave Check, and said, "Dave, you got this fraud on here, Vegas Day." I went crazy. I actually probably very impulsively went overboard. That's my East Coast backing. I guess I went crazy. And they said, "Bill, please let it play out. You'll see what happens." And they calmed me down. And matter of fact, that night, all 3 people called me up. I had on a 4-way call: producer, assistant producer, the director. And they told me some of the things that were going to happen in episode 3 and 4 happened. But you're right, though. With the first episode might show him, and you know what it is? Listen, these kids today, this under 35 crowd, the under 25 crowd, they love seeing fancy cars, money, piles of money, even though it's maybe
hot girls.
Yeah, hot girls, Cabo, and they're mesmerized by that. You think they'd be smart enough.
Like Dan Blazarian, the only thing missing is firing machine guns.
Right. You think they'd be smart enough to just look into that and look past it, but they don't. They get taken by him. So you're absolutely right. In the end, they're going to realize what a great marketer he is. His own parents, his father said he took $700,000. He took our whole life savings. Why did you give it to him, sir? He's just a good talker. He admitted it on air. If you watch episode 2, the father
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
he's a good talker. Wow, I can't believe Dave let his parents say that on air.
Yeah.
They basically took their money and gambled it away. But I don't like the way he talks about people, though. You'll see he curses all the time. He talks bad about people. And it just, you're talking down, you're demeaning people and stuff. Remember where you come from, pal. That's important.
I also want to say this girl, Kelly, gets a lot of crap on Twitter.
Yes.
But to me, she comes off as very credible, not as a sports bettor.
No.
I mean, she wants to be an announcer.
What's so wrong with that?
She seems really competent to me.
Do you see these sideline girls they have on these shows on NFL and stuff? Kelly will blow them away. She doesn't want to be that girl, by the way.
Yeah.
But her knowledge blows them away. They're just nothing but a little pretty face and a body. They don't know anything about the games they're at. Kelly knows more about the players, the coaches, the flow of the games, the producers, the records, the trends. She deserves a job in the industry. She talks better than some of the men that are out there, So
she
you're
comes
right.
off
She
very
does.
well to me.
She does take a lot of stuff. You're right. Very good from Twitter. Let me tell you something. I take stuff from people on Twitter. People
I'm
don't.
sure.
Of course, they're under the anonymity. You know what I mean? People aren't going to say this stuff to my face, but of course they're under the telephone tough guy thing.
And also, she kind of was very open in the first episode and said, she was a bottle service girl at the Bellagio. And
Yep.
I mean, she's young and in her 20s and
Absolutely.
hot. Like, why not? Go make the money while you can.
Absolutely.
I mean, why hold that against her?
Absolutely, but very, very perceptive. You're right. People love to down people. It's just it's a weird thing. People, they're not happy with their own lives, so they just love to talk, stuff about other people sometimes. I have a very good Twitter following. I have about 12,000 followers. They're very loyal, very good bunch of people. I try to answer everyone I can, and I try to help people. I walk around casinos getting questioned all the time. Just yesterday, I was questioned, and I take the time for people and try to help them. And I try to promote a very the side of gambling I try to promote is the gambling when you don't gamble, not watching the games, not sweating the money. And what happens is, my fear is the kids that grew up on the ESPN circuit, watching ESPN and watching their favorite players, the Kobe Bryants, the LeBron James. My fear is those kids are being targeted to be sports bettors with all these new gaming jurisdictions opening up. It's sad to me, because these kids are the kids that are going to run and start making sports bets just thinking they could do it because they watch a game on TV. So it's not going to happen. I really feel bad for those kids. I would hope that they would just know that this is not for everyone. There's only a select few people, very small, minuscule percentage, that actually makes money long term betting sports, gambling in general.
Do you have any concerns about, you're kind of very open on the show, traveling around to the casinos with a lot of cash.
That was for the show, though. I just told you I gamble at my app. I stay home with my app.
Yeah.
I did it for the show. I bet, some things. I mean, it's I park valet. I don't drive a fancy car like Dave. I think he's the one to worry, going in places like Cabo and places with showing piles of money on his Twitter feeds and on his social media. I think he has to worry a lot before me. By the way, I think on the show, I had 20 grand or maybe 30 grand once. I mean,
you bet last night. You bet 30,000 on the money line on the Patriots.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, listen, you can go to any casino in this town on any given weekend. Someone's betting more money on one hand of blackjack and high limit than I was betting on the show.
We're talking to Bill Krackenberger. We're going to take a brief break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back. The South Point has more than 10,000 games, returning more than 99%. This is more than anyone else has. In April, the promotion is free buffets. On Monday through Thursdays, earn 300 points by 1 p.m. and get a free lunch buffet. If you do that and earn an additional 300 points by 8 p.m., you get a free dinner buffet. If you did not earn the original 300 points prior to 1 p.m., but still earn 600 prior to 8 p.m., you do earn a dinner buffet. You get vouchers from the kiosk for these buffets. They do not have to be used on the day earned, but they all expire May 2nd, which is a Thursday. Also, if you have enough vouchers, you may treat several others in addition to yourself. If you provided the South Point with your email address, you'll receive bonuses every weekend in April. It's too late to get the bonus this month if they've not already received it, but they do this 2 or 3 times a year, so if you live close to the casino, it's worth providing your email address. At videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Super Triple Play Jackpots, and it's a game for those who want to gamble. It requires 7 coins per line. The first extra coin bumps up all the values for the 4 of a kinds. The second extra coin provides you with a wheel spin whenever you end up with a 4 of a kind. Since these quads only come around every 420 hands or so, it's a heaven or hell experience. If you don't get many quads today, you will not like this game. If you do, you will. All right, we're talking to our guest, Bill Krackenberger. We've been talking about sports in general, so each sports bettor has to pick. Nobody bets on every sport. So which sports are your specialties, and why did you pick those?
Small market sports would actually be my best, but you really can't get down a lot of money on them, like WNBA or something like that. But you used to be able to actually in the beginning. So the smaller market sports, but however, really, because I can get down a lot, and it's kind of my bread and butter, the college sports, especially the beginning of the season when it's a softer market, college football, college basketball. Surprisingly, I really don't do much NFL betting, and that upsets a lot of people.
That's not surprising.
Really?
It's the hardest market to beat.
Well,
right?
That's what everyone wants to bet, though. But that's also why Bill Krackenberger walks into a casino and says, hey, what can I get on a college game, college basketball side? And they tell me $1,000. What can I bet on an NFL side? Whatever you want.
Right.
So that goes to show you right away. You could bet 5 figures on an NFL game, but you can only bet $1,000 on a college game. There's so much more information out there on NFL, and everyone talks NFL. And plus, when the fantasy came along, the fantasy also gave people a lot of different information that made NFL even harder to beat than it was. I mean, I have a friend of mine does beat the totals. My friend Warren Sharp, he beats the totals for sure, but I don't know anyone else that really wins in the NFL. It's a very, very tough sport to beat. NFL sides, I'll put up anyone against the test. It's that hard to beat it. But yet, people love to bet it. Everyone's there. Look at Sundays in every sports book. Even our show Action, where it's filmed, they're yelling and screaming on Sundays.
Oh, yeah. I just meant for the professionals.
Yeah.
Everybody sort of agrees that's the hardest thing to beat.
It is the hardest to beat. And, they're smart. They situated these games now, these primetime games. They know exactly what they're doing. When the NFL commissioner and stuff, when they say that they don't really like sports betting or something, and they're full of it because they have these primetime games for that. If it wasn't for sports betting, and especially now fantasy, the NFL really would not even be like it is today.
So college basketball was one of your specialties. Is it fair to presume that it's better for you to be betting East Carolina for or against than it is Duke because there's less knowledge about East Carolina?
I'll even break it down more, because East Carolina now, they're in Greenville, North Carolina, and they're actually a school that people actually know a little bit more about now. Let's boil it down to even more, like I used on the show. How about the University of Maine or, the Hampton, those kind of schools where, believe it or not, you can still bet them, though. The casinos all book them still, but there's so much less information about a team like, Hampton or Maine than there is on Duke. I mean, but yet some of the teams make it to the final, in the March Madness. I mean, Gardner-Webb. I mean, these teams do make it, these little schools. But there's less information about Gardner-Webb than there is Virginia. And that's the team that, Gardner-Webb was up by like 12 or 13 points. First game was Gardner-Webb versus Virginia. And probably in that locker room, I'm sure the coach of Virginia, Tony Bennett, he was probably going crazy because thinking last year they lost to Maryland, Baltimore County, 20-some point favorite. Now they're doing it again. So that little school like that, there's a lot of information about the bigger schools like Virginia than there are the small schools. So that's where me and a lot of other professionals, like you guys said, will specialize on this, especially the smaller schools. And even East Carolina is a smaller school than Duke, of course.
Without giving away all the secret sauce, How do you get the information on the smaller schools with which to make informed decisions?
Well, we have a guy. I'm part of a team. We have a guy that actually all he does is read. He scours the internet, not only local papers, but he scours the internet as on social media. It's amazing the things that the coaches and the assistant coaches and even the players will say and talk about on social media after a practice or something. It's shocking sometimes. So he scours that. That's his job.
What can they say that's useful? Johnny hurt his ankle?
Well, they really don't get into that kind of stuff really that much, but maybe. There's always
that actually could be useful, but
no, of course it would. That would be overly useful. Oh my God! But no, they now sometimes they'll say that he took a bad step. We'll see how he's going to be. You'll see that before the AP gets it. So that could be useful. Injuries are a big part. Getting the injuries before Don Best here in town, which is the premier software of injuries and everything. There's ways to get injuries before Don Best gets it. So yes, and that is also from social media and stuff, but. More so, what they'll say sometimes is maybe how long they intend to play somebody or how long they intend to. A coach will come on and say that on his social media before any press conference. That happens all the time. So,
are they generally being honest about that information?
Yes, there's no reason to lie. Yeah,
unless
they're
you're
not
Bill Belichick, right?
Oh,
right.
There's lots of reasons to lie.
Well, from a gambling
I don't think they're
standpoint,
thinking of it at that high a level in
right.
East Maine.
Well, no, I know what he's saying. You're saying so they'll say that so the opposing team sees something. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, well, we hope that doesn't happen, but I'm sure sometimes it is put out there. Like Richard said, the bigger teams may do something like that compared to Maine and Hampton.
On the for betting college sports, do you let me start all over again.
Sure.
Well, let me ask him something while you're getting that one. So you mentioned you're part of a team, and teams have different people have different functions,
right.
And one person, or at least one person, has to figure out where the edge is, what to bet, and
Correct.
It's a whole nother game to actually get the money down.
Right.
So it sounds like your specialty is getting the
Right
money
on.
down.
Right on.
And as you showed in last night's episode of Action,
Right.
how to manipulate the line to make it move one
Well,
way.
manipulate's a
the
strong
other way.
thing. And so if you'll bet like certain sports books here in town, it's amazing what this is a little key here. You could bet the South Point here. And there are certain sports books that follow the South Point. You could bet the Hilton here, which is the Westgate. I'm sorry, I still say Hilton. You could bet the Westgate here. And you can guarantee that there's sports books that follow the Westgate. What that means is if I bet something +6, the Westgate goes to 5. And now other sports books, you'll see ping, 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 go to 5. They'll just follow them. Hey, Westgate's getting bet on this. Let's move it right away. So there's ways to manipulate that a little bit too. Listen, I really don't do that too much because it's so hard to manipulate the market. There's so many people in it now.
But it makes good TV.
But it not only makes good TV. I mean, I will bet college basketball games around 2 the wrong way sometimes, 2 or 3, which is the lower the number. I'm not going to do that around 14 or 15, but a smaller number, which tends to fall on, I'll do that with.
Sure.
So no, I'm not just saying it for TV. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to lie. I'm never going to be called out on something I'm lying for on TV. Absolutely not.
No, I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
I just meant that it
It
is
makes for
something
good
you
TV.
would want to show on TV.
Yeah.
And I believe that those were real bets.
Sure.
That you actually wanted to make. I didn't think you were.
Oh no!
Just
they're
making
real.
something up.
Some people said to me, I don't understand. You're only betting $3,000. Well, that's all the sports book takes. Like they don't even realize. People, like I said, people love to just. They don't realize I'm trying to educate people too. A lot of times they just want to take shots because of their own, faults in life and
I can't tell you how
inconsistencies.
many people just absolutely refuse to believe that they bar people for betting or for playing blackjack.
I had someone
or for-
yesterday say that casinos don't throw people out.
Yeah,
what are you
right.
talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
That's what he said. Right? How many casinos have you guys probably been thrown out for gambling? I'm sure you just used to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whole countries.
Right, countries. Right. Yeah.
For me, it's not countries, but it is counties.
Right. Just for playing advantage video poker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I say thrown out. They cut you off. Let's say what it is. I haven't really been trespassed anywhere. The Terribles. I was trespassed at Terribles. They threw me out at Terribles. They walked me to the door and read the little thing out of their pocket. Bill Krackenberger, not allowed in any of our casinos no more for. I was playing blackjack, and I wouldn't give my name. They threw me. I don't even know. There's a great gaming attorney in here, Bob Nasseri. I really should ask him, is that even legal? I don't know if it's illegal. Legal what they did. I guess it's private property. They can do what they want.
A frequent guest on the show. It's legal.
It's legal. They can do what they want.
Can you still get your car washed there?
I don't know. You know what? I refuse. My wife's going to laugh at this. I refuse my wife even going to any of the Chevron stations that Terribles has. I refuse it just based on that.
It's a matter of principle for you.
Yeah, I mean, some places will just cut you off, but other places will throw you out. And I had a friend who got thrown out of a place, and he said, "Look, I like coming here to the restaurants, and I'm paying.
Right.
So you don't want me to gamble? I won't gamble, but I'd like to come spend money in your restaurants." No.
Like the movie Casino with Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci says, "How about if I want to come in and get one of those sandwiches I like?" De Niro says, "Nope, can't do it."
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't do it. So that happens, though. That absolutely happens. But it's very rare they'll throw you out of the property. Usually you just get backed off of the sporting book. William Hill here in town was known for throwing people out. Anyone with a pulse. If you go in, you cut yourself. If red blood comes out, William Hill's throwing you out. Joe Asher's throwing you out.
And it's funny because at the Sloan conference this year, somebody from William here was on the panel.
Female, right?
Yeah.
She was ripped. Yeah. She was ripped apart. She didn't even know how smart of a company is William Hill when they can't even inform their spokesperson, their representative at Sloan conference that they throw people out on a daily basis. She didn't even know.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So, I mean, they're not alone, though. Listen, the guys back east, some of the places are limiting you also. It's not just them or throwing you out. I mean, I know the DraftKings is not taking much on their app from anyone that wins also. Long term, by the way. See, I say, if Bill Krackenberger is a winning sports bettor, why not be like the guys at South Point, Chris Andrews, and use my information?
Right.
Let's take a $2,000 bet from me and overmove your line. If I'm taking +6, go to 5. Put the customers on the opposite side, and this way you're on my side by the time the game tips off. It's simple, isn't it? Yeah. Don't you want to know? I think the guy that works for William Hill and he's actually a nice guy, Nick Bogdanovich. He runs the lines for him, legendary in-town guy, sports bettor himself. I think Nick would love to know what the sharp guys are on. I really do. But his boss won't let him, and it's unfortunate. And, I don't even know how they can go on radio shows around town saying that they know what the sharp sides of the games are. They show these tickets, big ticket, and they post them on their social media. Why you're showing big, giant tickets on NFL futures or NFL things that you're taking from guys that are suckers, obviously. They throw out thousands of people. It's hard to believe how many people William Hill has thrown out. Really is.
Now, you're a co-host on VSIN, Vegas Sports Information Network. What's that show all about?
I do his show on Thursdays, Gil Alexander, and he's a great guy. Our show, we just talk about. I never have prepared things. Even when you guys were asking me some things, I said, "Listen, just ask me." Spontaneous radio is the best for me. I'm a talker, so that's what I do. And the same thing with Gil's show. We go on there every Thursday. I just talk about what's going on for the week, what happened. I talk about sports betting. We talk about my life, things that's happening now that the Showtime show is here. We talked about some different things that's happened with the show. Of course, Vegas Day, VD, otherwise known as VD. So
does anything else start with VD?
Oh, yeah, it does. So we just talk. We just talk shop about gambling for the week. That's what I think it's good. Rather than have something set where we have callers calling in, or we're pretty. Once in a while, I'll have I do have a guy that's coming on tomorrow, a caddy. I told you guys from the Masters, so that should be pretty cool. But we talk about anything, just anything gambling wise in general, or some. Listen, 2 weeks ago, probably one of our best, highest rated shows. We broke out and talked about. I wrote an article. I was very humbled by this show I'm doing, and I was back in New Jersey to do a Showtime interview. And I pulled over at the side. I had 6 hours. I said, "Let me go." I went over to where my grandparents built. My great grandfather built his house. It still stands. And I went over there in this little small town in Jersey. And I stood outside his house, and I just thought about my life and how lucky I am. And I wrote about it. And I wrote about how my grandfather lost 8 of his brothers and sisters and his dad in a plague in 1918. And
wow.
He told me about it. He was 9 years old, and I remember being younger. He always, like I said earlier, I'm very inquisitive. So he told me about this plague, and it wiped out his whole family. And he was very stoic, Hungarian, very stoic person. And I got it out of him, though. He said the ground was so frozen we couldn't bury anybody. We had to keep them on the front lawn for 8 days, including 75 children on the block. This plague, this Spanish flu, wiped out millions and millions. I think 50 million worldwide. It wiped out millions, North Jersey and New York. And I just thought about, how did he survive? Only him and his sister were the only people. Out of the 10 kids, only 2 survived. If they don't survive, I'm not here. And I just thought about that, and it kind of got to me. And then Gil told his story about his dad, which was stuck on a train going to Auschwitz. And it's just, wow, that's what the show was about. And it was just very touching show, very touching. So we could talk about anything, really. And that particular session was not on sports, but again, just to finish off, I want you guys to make sure you see episode 4 of the Showtime show and see what happens in the end. And you tell me what you thought at the end of it, because most people think that. They think, oh, God, a gambling show. Let's hope they get it right. I think I was instrumental in getting things right, and I think Kelly in Vegas is fantastic, showing that she can compete with the big boys out there, and she's going to, too. Many opportunities coming up for her. So
has this opened up other doors for you?
I really haven't looked for them. I don't know. I've had a lot of interviews. I've had 20-some interviews with different media sites around the country. Picked up a lot of followers on Twitter. Really, I just kind of try to put I write an article for Gaming Today every week, and I think I try to help people in my article every single week. Every single week, that's my focus, is trying to help people, educate them, and make them not necessarily winners, make them lose less, because you really can't control who you are. Most people just gamble and gamble too much, and they always try to get even. That's the biggest thing. You want to leave the casino and just try to get even. Let me just get even and I'll get out of here for the day. That's gambler's ruin, and that's the reason why you're going to not be successful in this long term. And then, God forbid, you put drinking or anything into the game. That's doubly the vices. So,
you say you're part of a team. Have you ever been ripped off by teammates or sports books or anybody else in this business?
I mean, it's going to happen. Listen, when I used to bet years ago, used to bet some sports books offshore back in the 90s. They fold. They fold and then don't pay you, but they had the greatest deals in the world too.
High risk, high reward.
They had the greatest deals in the world. They had places you could send $1,000 to a sports book and they start you out with $2,000. It used to be at first only 20 and 30% and 40%, but then they started having 100% match bonuses. Let me tell you something. That's going on right now in New Jersey. There's places like PointsBet right now that gives you could bring, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's some, I went to Jersey recently. I picked up $32.50 in bonus money before I started gambling. So I didn't even start the gambling. I just funded some apps, legal sports betting apps in New Jersey, the European models, though. And I started out $3,200 ahead. You really can't start Bill Krackomberger. I'm going to beat you anyway in the end. You're going to start me out with $3,250. So anyway, going back to your question, though, yes, absolutely. They had places that had no juice on Fridays. They had places that you could move a game half a point on Fridays. There was a place called Aces Gold Sports Market. You can move half a point. And there was a place called Game Day also that had half a point on Friday. So literally, you could take a game that was 3, which is the keyest number in the NFL. You can go to 2.5 on one, 3.5 on the other. And really, you gain an edge by betting this. And a lot of them had no juice, half juice. There was so many programs.
You can move it by a half point with no juice.
Well, you can move it. You can move it half point free. So instead of it aligns 3, you used to be able to move it -2.5, -110. So that means the opposite way too. If you had 2 accounts, which I never did, you never want to go after them like that.
But 2 different casinos, you could do.
Yes,
it.
With Game Day, there was a place called Game Day in Curacao that you can go the other way for a half point free. So, and then there was places that had no juice on Fridays too. So it was no juice Friday. So and however, some of these places did fold and did screw me out of money. Yes.
Well, Ace's Gold was
Ace's
famous
Gold.
for...
Yeah. Charles Thurwanger screwed everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is in-game betting of interest to you at all?
Great question. Some sports books might not want to hear this answer. I'll bet during the commercials only. I'm not going to bet during the game when there's a 7-second delay. Just last night watching the game, which I normally wouldn't watch. I had some friends in town. Just watching the game from my tablet, my Don Best screen, which is up to date. I was about, I'm going to say 10 seconds ahead. I seen the score 10 seconds before someone made the basket on the Virginia game last night on my tablet. That means they have a 10-second head start on you. Now, I'm not saying no one's cheating, but it definitely has happened before in this town. They absolutely had people behind the counter that absolutely are cheating you. Yes. But
they refuse the bet.
Refuse the bet based on a basket, or they take the bet based on a miss. And what are you supposed to do? Go to gaming and try to find someone in gaming that knows what in-game wagering is and what they're doing? It's impossible. It really is. So I'm only going to bet during the commercials. Yet it is the wave of the future. I know it is. I know in-game betting is huge, but I'm not betting in-game unless it's during commercials. It's hard enough to win, Bob. Never mind them trying to scam me on 10 to 10 seconds. You understand, right?
Oh, I definitely understand. I was actually surprised you bet at all because you said you generally don't even watch the games.
Right, I don't.
So it's hard to do in-game betting
only
if you're not watching the game.
Only giant games like last night. My buddies were in town. I'll watch. Or the playoffs. I enjoy watching the playoffs in NFL. Maybe the Super Bowl, of course. I'll watch that with my friends or something. And, this is going to be shocking to you. I actually do enjoy baseball season. I know it's a boring game, maybe because I come back from back east. I enjoy going to a baseball game. Nothing like going to San Diego with my buddies, and they'll enjoy a dog and a beer, and it's just hanging around. Going to you can go to Petco Park, first row seats versus the Yankees for $50. You can't do that in Yankee Stadium. You're going to pay $2,000. So it's great.
Does the minor league games here in Vegas interest you at all? I mean, is it mostly the same, or you want to see the big boys?
They're probably great. There's times that I'll pull over.
The hot dogs are just as good.
That's right. Not better than the South Point hot dog cart, though. But
South Point hot dog is $1.25. They limit you to 2 or 3. I don't know what the number is. You can fill it with whatever you want.
There was a limit.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Not for me. I go in with a mustache for the second round.
Oh, you can go back. You can go back. But
he's right.
But they limit you, and long lines right outside the sports book.
Yeah,
they're not making money on that.
No, they're not. But I do. I do go to. Like I said, I will stop at a game if I see on the side of the road kids playing. I don't know why. I just like to watch the kids play. Because I played. I played minor league, little league. I loved playing baseball too. And I just enjoyed the game. That's what I grew up on. I won't go. You can say, hey, Bill, we got NFL's tickets. 50-yard line. Come on with us. We'll go to. I'm not going. But if there's a baseball game, my friends I'll go to a baseball game. I have no interest in going to an NBA game. But you wouldn't go to
one alone. It's more about being with your friends.
Right? Yeah, I'll go. But I still wouldn't even go to an NBA game. Right? I have no interest in going. Zero. Listen, I understand. If you're with your friends in a party or something. Yes, I have been to a Laker game. One. That's the only NBA game I've ever been to. One Laker game. And I was in Jerry Buss's box too, so it was really cool. But it just wasn't the. It was good, but it wasn't.
You actually see the game better on TV.
You
right?
do
all the games,
just like boxing. I love boxing. Now, boxing's different though. I love going to the boxing events. I enjoy boxing. So I have been to some of the boxing events, and one of my best friends is Teddy Atlas. So I like going to his fights and going around with him. So it's pretty cool. But
do you bet boxing?
I'll bet him, and it's one of the sports you can get away with betting some of the favorites. Look at Floyd; he's favored every fight. If you kept on betting him, you made a lot of money.
You know that now.
That's right.
What about MMA? Do you bet that?
I don't really bet too much MMA. I know there is money to be made betting it, but I really don't. Kind of don't mess with it that much. It's what happens in these sports is the margins become so much bigger. I'm betting baseball minus 105, minus 105. I'm betting football minus 110, minus 110, or basketball. Now you're going to get into these kind of sports, like especially live wagering. It's 115, 115. You're going to get into wider margins in these boxing, where 120, 120, or they have minus 4-1, come back 3-1. It's not easy to make money when you're involved in those big margins, those wide margins.
For any of our listeners who are considering becoming a winning sports bettor when they grow up, what books would you recommend they study?
Not really a book guy. However, I know there are some books on the market. I'm more of a article guy. I think you can read articles. I think you can go back to the last 2 years and read my articles in Gaming Today on bankroll management, on skill sets, right onto the website, gamingtoday.com. It's free. But not touting tooting my own horn. There's so many great articles on the internet. On Pinnacle Sports Twitter feed, there's a couple writers on there that are fantastic. You can learn more from those articles than you could any gambling book. I can guarantee it. I'm going to learn more there than I'm going to learn in, like, Stanford Wong put out a book on sport, which was pretty good.
Sharp Sports.
Yeah, which is pretty good. But you'll learn more in those articles on the internet and on social media. Like I said, the Pinnacle feed, and there's some really sharp people out there writing about sports betting.
And there are 20 times that many writing about garbage sports betting.
Absolutely right.
And so it is picking your guru, so to speak. So are there names that you would say, now, you've clearly suggested that your own name's a good one to read. But other than that, which names should they look for?
You know what? I can't narrow down to any one person. To be honest with you, this is something I haven't revealed on any show yet. It scares me, some of the new writers that are out there that come from major networks that are now all of a sudden writing on sports betting that know very little about it, but yet they're being paid to write about it. That scares me. There's a new show on ESPN. And there's some pretty good stuff on that show. It's the first gambling show on ESPN that they have. And it's called The Daily Wager. And they put out some pretty good stuff on there. I kind of like, some of the things. There's some sharper guys on the guys that bet on there, too. That's important. So, but as far as books, I'm sorry, I really don't. I have ADD, too, so it's hard for me to read things. My brain works so fast.
Okay, but that Pinnacle Twitter feed.
Very. I can't think of the writers on there, but there's some writers on there that really break down stuff and really get into the quantitative research and stuff. Really good.
And if people want to find you on Twitter?
At Bill Krackomberger with a K. Bill, Krackman.
At Bill Krackenberger. Okay.
Yep.
And that's just a wordplay on your last name, Krackenberger.
Yeah, I've been called Crack before the drug came out. That's my last name, play on my name, exactly right. Crack. And then when the drug came out, when someone, hey, Crack, how you doing? And the next thing you know, like they would say, oh my God, I shouldn't say that. So, yeah, I'm far from that at all. Like I said, I don't even drink.
Well, is it worse to be known for the same name as crack cocaine or a plumber who doesn't really keep his pants up too high?
That's right.
I don't know which one's worse.
Wonderful.
It's been fun talking to you. Thank you very much. Our next week's guest is going to be Gil Alexander. So Crack mentioned some very nice things about him.
I love Gil. He's great.
So if you like Crack, come back for Gil.
All right.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you guys for having me.
Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.